This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. When you think about calls to violence, calls to genocide in the American political landscape, you don't think about Democrats. You don't think about liberals. You don't think about, like me, for instance. I mean, the other day I did tweet that in response to a video of a Nazi accosting Jews as they left synagogue, that, wait, when do we stop punching Nazis in their faces? I tweeted.
Heil Hitler, Jew! Heil Hitler!
Heil Hitler! Look at this fucking Jew! Fuck out of here!
Sir, do you think you should be put in an oven?
Are you Jewish? Oh my God. Leave our country, go back to Israel. You know where you bomb Palestinian kids? Where we fund you stupid fucking Jews? $8 billion a year? You look like a horse. You look like a Jewish horse. Look at the horse face on this Jew. Horse face Jew! Horse face Jew! Bad genetics, Tay-Sachs.
And in the comments of that tweet, you saw a lot of people, oh, the tolerant left, the tolerant liberal calling for violence. And I will not, you will never hear me apologize for defending marginalized groups. That is not what conservatives do when they call for violence, when they call for genocide. And that is what takes place on an almost daily basis on the internet, of course. Well, not an almost daily basis, many times a day on the internet. But at CPAC, the political conference for the most extreme of the mainstream of the Republican Party, hosted by credibly accused sex pest Matt Schlapp, Michael Knowles, lapdog of Ben Shapiro, Daily Wire idiot, and colleague of the bigoted Matt Walsh, took to the stage and called for, he denies it, he's demanding retractions from the Wall Street or from Rolling Stone and other publications for saying what I'm getting ready to say, which is he, in his sideways, tongue-in-cheek, obvious, deniable but not deniable way, called for genocide against transgender Americans in this country. I'm going to play the clip, and we're going to talk about the rhetoric, and we're going to make comparisons to if he had said other things of a similar ilk that would lead us to this conclusion. Now, listen, you don't have to understand the entire issue of transgender rights in this country to be an ally. You don't need to be going to rallies and protesting for equal rights for transgender Americans. But you should, as a human being, as a Democrat, as a decent person who believes in human rights, not find yourself punching down. We should always aspire to punch up. And when there's a marginalized group that has exceedingly high rates of suicide, we should rally around that group, whether or not we fully understand the issues that face them and support them. Trans rights are human rights. Flatly stated, period, point blank. The same arguments that are being made against transgender Americans 30 years ago were being made against the homosexual community, against gays and lesbians, that it's not natural and something's wrong with them. They weren't born this way. All of that was propaganda and lies and bigotry. And the same talk today about transgender people, it's the same. It is bigotry. And if you were one of those people, like I was, like in high school, the bigotry that I was taught in my white Christian nationalism household, I'm embarrassed by that. I wish I would have been on the right side of history then, so I could claim now, yeah, I've always been that way. Now, in my adult life, I have been that way. But you don't want to find yourself on the wrong side of history, because in 30 years, we're all going to look back and be like, wow, that was terrible. Hopefully, it doesn't take 30 years. But you certainly don't want to be on the side of the Ben Shapiros and the Matt Walshes and the Michael Knowles, who in a not so subtle way is really talking about genocide. This is Nazi shit. Watch this clip. We'll talk about it on the other side.
There can be no middle way in dealing with transgenderism. It is all or nothing. If transgenderism is true, if men really can become women, then it's true for everybody of all ages. If transgenderism is false, as it is, if men really can't become women, as they cannot, then it's false for everybody too. And if it's false, then we should not indulge it, especially since that indulgence requires taking away the rights and customs of so many people. If it is false, then for the good of society, and especially for the good of the poor people who have fallen prey to this confusion, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely.
Does this not smack of authoritarianism? Of a time in the early 30s leading through the mid 40s? There is no middle way, he says. All or nothing. For the good of our society. May the Third Reich last for 1,000 years. He didn't say that, but eradicate transgenderism. Michael Knowles, the pencil neck bigot. If he had said, there's no middle way, it is all or nothing for the good of our society, we must eradicate Judaism, no one would think he just means the religion. When he says eradicate transgenderism, how do you do that? Let's even not use Judaism as an example. What if he said we need to eradicate homosexuality from our society? All or nothing. No middle way. For the good of our society, we must eradicate homosexuality. How would you eradicate something that is an inborn, immutable characteristic of someone? They're born gay. The only way to eradicate homosexuality is to eradicate homosexuals. The same can be said. It is no different. The only way to eradicate transgenderism would be to eradicate the human being. This is a not even subtle call for violence. Not at the hands of Michael Knowles. No. He would not get his hands dirty. It is the mouth-breathing, prone to violence crowd that we've already witnessed get whipped up by Donald Trump that he is hoping, and if not hoping, well, if it happens, it wasn't because of me. This is disgusting. This is dangerous. This is potential, almost certain violence to be visited upon an already radically marginalized and oppressed community in the United States. Mainly born out of people's confusion or misunderstanding or just basic ignorance of what the issue is. We just a couple hours ago, we recorded episode 851 of my podcast, mine and Brittany Page's podcast, I Doubt It podcast. And we talked at length about this, reading 2 different emails. And if you find yourself, as one of our emailers did, on the side of Michael Knowles, of Ben Shapiro, wouldn't that give you pause? If you're using arguments that are being spewed onto the American media landscape by Republicans and bigots, wouldn't that give you pause? Am I on the wrong side of this issue? If I'm agreeing with genocide boy Michael Knowles? Again, you don't have to have the full width and breadth of the issue under your belt to stand for a marginalized community. I don't have a fulsome understanding of the ins and outs of everything. But I'll tell you what, you're not going to catch me punching down. I'm always going to strive to punch up Where's the power at? That's what we should tackle. That's what we should be opposed to. Not people who are just trying to get by and literally survive. We are better than that. As a political party, as a country, as a people who strive to love one another. I'd love to know what you think about this and Michael Knowles. If I'm off base, I want to hear you. If you agree, I want to hear you. We can mix it up in the comments. Of course, there's going to be the trolls. Don't engage unless there is a good faith metric that you measure them wanting to talk, wanting to address the issue, discuss the issue. The other way, you can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, the old-fashioned email, daily@dollemore.com. If you appreciate what I do and you want to take part in this work, I would encourage you to click the join button below. See what's involved to become a channel member for $2 a month. You can become a channel member and produce my work right here. You can also go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast and help support my work. That supports here and it supports the podcast. Everything's all one bucket. Follow me on social media. We can continue the conversation there. I'm at Dollemore. I love you guys. I appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.